Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Quantum Alignment Show. I am Karen Curry Parker, and today we're going to be talking about Chiron and revisiting Chiron. So I want to give you a little bit of a preamble, so to speak. I'm going to do an experiment today, and my experiment today is to go through cycles of time with Chiron. So we're going to look at 1950 to 1965. So if you are born between 1950 and 1965, we're going to talk about your Chiron. Now, that being said, if you were born before 1950, I totally get that you are still alive and kicking. And if you were born after 1965, I will do another section with the next week. I'll do 1965 to 1980. I'm curious to see if I can get through all of these in 1 hour, but I think I can if I talk fast. If I don't cover your Chiron or you're not born within that time frame, don't hang up, because I'm still going to be talking about the energies and the themes of those gates. And the truth is, even if you don't have those gates in Chiron, we might be covering gates that you do have. We might be covering gates that might show up in other planetary positions in your chart. And even though they won't be playing in the same way thematically, or you won't be playing with the same archetype, you'll still get something out of it. You'll still get some insights into certain themes in your chart. And certainly, truth be told, even if you don't have any of the gates that we cover in your chart at all, that's sort of it's like lotto, right? If I play lotto, it's guaranteed the numbers I pick will never be drawn that night. So I'm not trying to do that to you, okay? So even if none of the numbers are covered for you in this time span of 15 years, pay attention anyway, because here's the thing we never talk about in human design. And forgive me for a second, because I'm suddenly very warm. We always talk about what I have and what I don't have in the chart. That's a conversation I hear people have a lot. And here's the thing that I want you to understand about your chart. Your chart is just like your DNA or your human genome. You have all of the chart. Even if you're a reflector and you have nothing defined in your chart, you have all of the chart. Just like you have all the human genome in your genes, but you're not expressing all the genome, right? You're expressing you. Green eyes, brown hair, red hair, blue eyes, whatever, right? The chart has a map for your unique expression, the places where you have consistency. What we know and what we're learning about DNA nowadays is that there are a lot of components of DNA or your gene or in the genome. There are a lot of aspects of DNA that are regulated by epigenes and are consequently also malleable. Your genes are not necessarily your destiny. Your human design definition gives you kind of a structural framework within which you explore and experiment your human experience, your human process, right? In this incarnation, in this lifetime, the story that you're living in. But you carry all of the energy of all the chart within you. The chart is simply a Rolodex of the archetypes of what it means to be human. The places that you have colored in your chart, that's what we call definition. The things that are colored in are the parts of your chart that you have access to consistently. That's the key. Those are aspects of the chart that you have access to consistently. And you have a lot of opportunity because you'll be experiencing that energy consistently to really consciously work with that energy over the course of your lifetime to master it, to learn to live the highest expression of that part of who you are. Where you have openness or anything in the chart that's white, and that includes centers and gates and channels. Anything that's white, it doesn't mean you don't have it. It means that you experience that energy thematically from the people outside of you. Those are energies you're going to get from the transits, the planets, as they move over the course of time, and also from the people in your life. So these are energies you get from your friends, your lovers, your parents, your brothers or sisters, people who you hang with. Those are energies that you are influenced by, and you take those energies in your openness and you amplify them. So consequently, you do experience all of those energies too. It's just you don't experience those energies consistently. You have variability there and even malleability there in how you experience those energies. And ultimately, when you understand that aspect of yourself, that there's fluidity and malleability there, it allows you then to have greater control and even choice over how you choose to respond to or react to or integrate or use energy from other people. So you all have all of the charts. So if you go through this and you're like, well, I don't have that one and I don't have that one, you do have it. You just might not have it defined. You have it open. And I promise you, you will experiment and experience and explore all of these archetypes, all of the 64 gates, all of the lines in the profiles, all of the lines in the gates, all of the channels, all the circuits, all the centers, all the types. To a certain degree, we experience all of them as part of our journey with being human. We just don't always live all of them consistently. So that's sort of my very brief introduction, and I think a piece that hopefully can clarify some of the aspects of the chart. Sometimes we really feel strongly like, oh, I really relate to this energy. You might not have access to it consistently. It might not be your energy per se, but it might be an energy that you know really, really well because maybe you've had a lifetime of encounters with this energy. Maybe your parents had this energy. Maybe your siblings have this energy. Maybe your lover or your husband or your wife has this energy, and it's energy that you know so well because you've experienced it so intimately in such an expansive way that even though you don't carry it, you know how it operates and you get it. And maybe you can even, some of you can smell that energy from a mile away. You might not know what it's called, but you're like, oh, there's that energy again, right? So for our Chiron revisited, right? Chiron, which is located here on the chart. It's not, and let me just back up. It's not actually located on the chart. It's located on the numbers next to the chart. And again, just a quick reminder, some of you might not have your Chiron position because not everybody prints charts that have Chiron on it. I love Chiron. I think it's pretty significant when I look at a chart. So all the charts that we run here through Quantum Alignment System will have Chiron on them. So if your chart doesn't have a Chiron on it, we'll hopefully hit it when we go through your birth year if you're born between 1950 and 65, at least today. Chiron does not show up on the body graph. So it's not going to change your definition. It's not going to change your type. It's not going to change your profile. It's a thematic energy. Okay, so it's an energy that's thematic, which means it's a theme that's brought to you over and over again and that you experience over and over again over the course of your life. And it does not influence the definition in the chart. At least I don't think it does. There are a couple of people who teach that it does. I don't. The thing about Chiron, or the theme about Chiron, is this. Chiron is your deepest wound. It's this wound or a place where you have vulnerability or even a consistent pattern or a habit that you struggle with and you are challenged by over the course of your lifetime. It is a wound that shows up every time you grow, every time you up level your consciousness, yourself. It's a soft spot in the spiral of your evolution and healing. And it's almost like every time you go around a ring of growth and expansion, before you go up to the next level, you got to deal with Chiron. In fact, one of my students used to say, Chiron is, when you go, new level, same devil. Chiron is the same devil, right? It's that thing we go to therapy for and we think we're done. And then 5 years later, we're like, oh my God, I just spent all this time in therapy and here it is again. The purpose of Chiron is a maturing point in the chart. It's the challenge that when we really master it, when we really, really master it, and that doesn't usually happen until you're about 48 to 52 years of age when it actually goes through what's called a return position in your transits. We have a Chiron return. It's actually a life cycle. And for me, when I look at charts or I do teach my students, Chiron is what I call the maturing point in the chart. It's the true mark of what I think is middle age anymore in the charts, the modern middle age, 48 to 52. And when Chiron goes to that return cycle, we get a really big opportunity for us to really get belly up to the bar, eyeball to eyeball with ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, am I willing to just be done with this issue? Am I willing to really master whatever this bugaboo has been that's been showing up for me over and over and over again my entire life. It's in the mastery of our Chiron. It's when we master the challenge of our Chiron that we then also, from our own experience and from our own healing, discover what we are here in part and parcel to share with the world. So there is a certain, not just maturing point, but when we cross the Chiron mark, not only are we masterful of ourself and the energy of our Chiron, it helps us understand more deeply what we are here to give back as part of the legacy of the story of who we are. So that's kind of the loose, quick, simple, fast, easy version of Chiron. When I look at spiritual purpose in the chart, particularly when I'm looking at what are you here to teach? And when I say teach, I'm not saying you have to go write a book and get on a stage and hit the road and start teaching it. I'm saying in your everyday actions, whether you're checking people out at the grocery store as a checkout clerk, or whether you're the mailman or woman, or whether you are teaching, when you are mastering your Chiron, you are showing people what that looks like to be in the mature expression, and your actions, your beingness, and of course, what you end up saying to people will reflect the lesson that Chiron brings you to not only master for yourself, but to ultimately give back to the world by sharing your journey. And of course, it is ultimately a healing energy. So it is a key part of your spiritual purpose. And as I said, when I look at soul purpose and spiritual purpose in the chart, I always look at Chiron because it tells me a lot about what are you here to share with the world. You can find your Chiron on your chart way down at the bottom. It usually looks like a circle with a little K. There are two numbers, the conscious and the unconscious. The conscious is on the right, the unconscious is on the left. I'm not going to get too much into what is conscious and unconscious in this particular class, but just for your own sake in terms of taking notes, conscious Chiron is the design of your soul. This is your soul's purpose. The unconscious Chiron is the life story, part of your life purpose in your human story. Most of the time, because Chiron moves relatively slowly, some years you'll see this year, some years there's only 2 Chiron position movements. Chiron is usually going to be in the same gate, conscious and unconscious. Sometimes it's in 2 different gates, not commonly, but it can be. And when it's in 2 different gates, when you're looking at it, particularly when you're looking at it in the context of what I'm going to show you today, and you look at the theme of each of those gates, I just want you to understand that if you have 2 different gate positions for Chiron, that those 2 themes will play together, and sometimes they create a real interesting push me, pull you quality, or a challenge within the challenge of Chiron. So if you have two gates, 2 different gates in your Chiron position, and look at the themes for both of those gates and really ask yourself, how do those themes maybe come head to head with each other in your life? How do you struggle with living out a harmonized expression of both of those energies? Because that's really ultimately what that's about. If you have 2 different energies there, 2 different gates, your part of your mastery is finding harmony in the mature expression of both of those energies. And when you do that, then you become masterful again of that Chiron. Now, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. I have taken every year, and I have taken the Chiron positions that are in the year. So in the year 1950, we have the gate 5, the gate 26, and the gate 11. And I'm going to talk about each one of those gates as quickly as I can. And hopefully we can go back and review this if you need to. I did not put concrete dates here. Like I didn't say gate 5 is the Chiron's transiting gate 5 in January through March, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to know that. Your chart will tell you what gate it's in. Part of why I also didn't do that is because Chiron has a lot of forward, backward, backward movement. So it kind of dances around all over the place. So, just go with the year and go with what's on your chart. I want to show you one other thing real quick. If you look at your unconscious Chiron, actually I want to get out of this and show you this really quickly. You'll see at the top of your chart that you have 2 birth dates. You have your personality birth date, which is the birthday in black. That's your actual physical birthday. That's hopefully the day and time that your body left your mother's womb and you entered into this beautiful earth journey, okay? The second birthday here is what we call your unconscious birthday. This birthday is the design of your life purpose. This birthday is calculated approximately 88 astrological degrees prior to your birth, so about 3 months before you were born. When we look at Chiron, and I'm going through these years, look at the year of your conscious as well as the year of your unconscious. Just for kicks, so you know where that's coming from. So you'll know that there are 2 Chiron dates, 2 Chiron years. You want to look at both the conscious year and the unconscious year. For some of you, it'll be the same year. For most of you, it'll probably be the same year. For some of you, it'll be 1 year and then the year preceding. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the theme of each of the gates. I'm going to talk about what I think is the challenge for each of those gates and how you might be expressing the high and low elements of those gates as you move into the mastery. Now, I just want to add a really quick little asterisk here. And actually, I want to get out of this for a second, and I want to go back to looking at you guys, give you more anticipation. There are a lot of really great and powerful human design teachers. I encourage you to go explore all of them, okay? There is not one single way to learn human design. There are lots of different ways to learn human design. You may not even ever learn human design. You might throw in your own understanding of the world. You might come from a background of the Enneagram or the Kobe or Myers-Briggs, which I used to do before I did human design. All of that doesn't matter to me personally. I want you to study and learn and discover and explore from whoever turns you on and gives you the insight and the information you need to maximize your potential and to find the greatest amount of harmony and peace in your life. And I want you to know that I want you to study, and I encourage you to go explore all the other human design teachers as well. You may find one teacher who you really resonate with. You may find that you gain your own understandings when you can compile information from all of these teachers and create your own synthesis. The goal of human design is not to lock you into a fixed way of thinking and a fixed pedagogy. The goal of human design is to teach you how to tap into your own inner truth, your own authority. And that path is going to show up for you in the way that's right for you from who knows how many teachers, who knows where those teachers come from. Do what feels right for you and follow what feels right for you, and don't listen to anybody who tells you there's only one way. There is only one way, but it's your way, and don't do anything less than your way. That's my, if you don't have any other takeaway from today, take that. Please take that as your takeaway today, that you have your own path. It's an incredibly magical, perfect path. It's a path that cannot be duplicated by anyone else. It's a path that has never existed before, that will never exist again. It's a sacred path and it's yours. So follow your path, no matter what anybody says, and no matter what flashlight anybody else is holding in front of you and saying, no, here's the way. Follow your way. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If you don't resonate with it, don't do it. If it doesn't bring you joy, don't do it. Okay? Message done. All right. 1950. There are 3 Chiron gate movements in 1950. The first one is in the gate 5. The gate 5 is the gate of universal timing. Most importantly, it's the gate of consistent habits. So people who have this gate oftentimes really need or long for consistency and habits. When you don't have good habits, when you are not habituated, when you have Chiron in this position, you might find that you struggle to have good habits, that you fight being habituated, that you fight yourself and creating a rhythm and structure for you. Or you might find that you get so locked into a habit that you can't be in the flow of what's showing up. So there's a real challenge here when you have this Chiron position, the 5, to learn how to align yourself with divine timing, to let go of your plans sometimes and to trust the unfolding of divine timing, and to also know that maybe you need to learn how to focus and create structures and patterns and habits in order for you to fulfill your destiny. And you might find that that's a big challenge for you, and that when you master that challenge, when you become habituated, that you then in turn learn how to tap into the consistent conditioning that brings about the full expression of your purpose, your destiny, and your mastery. The gate 26 is a very, very powerful, very important gate. It is ultimately the energy that brings about integrity. Integrity is a really powerful word when we think about this. And when I talk about integrity with the 26, I am certainly talking about moral integrity, behavioral integrity, being good, right? Being in integrity and being good. But it's also the kind of integrity that comes from that's sort of like engineering integrity. When we talk about a building being in integrity or a bridge being in integrity, we mean it's structurally sound. So the gate 26 says that if you are out of integrity, meaning if you are unsound or unstable or out of alignment with what you're building in your life, maybe you have a pattern or a habit of trying to create something that's not true to your authentic self, that's not aligned with your heart. If you get out of integrity with the Chiron, with Chiron being in the gate 26, your challenge is going to be learning how to stay in integrity no matter what the consequences are. Doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do for yourself and for the world. And that if you're out of alignment with integrity, or if people around you are out of alignment with integrity, you won't be able to create, or you'll hit that spiritual barbed wire fence where everything in your life will start to crumble if you don't create in a way that's in alignment with your authentic self. The gate 11, one of my favorite gates in the human design system. Gate 11 is called the gate of ideas. The story I always tell about the gate 11 is this. If you have the gate 11, you can imagine that creativity is a creek. Most of us go down to the creek of creativity with a little cup. We scoop it up, right? And we're satisfied. For the rest of our life, we have our cup filled with creativity. Some people with the gate 11 go down to the creek of creativity or the river of creativity. They fill up like 300 wash basins. They're standing on the shore of the creek of creativity with all these ideas, all these wash basins full of inspiration. And they don't know what to do because they have too many ideas. So what happens sometimes with this gate 11 energy is in the low expression, you keep trying to manifest all the ideas that you have. So it can make you look like you're really, really scattered, like you're all over the place, like you're trying to create this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that, and you can't get focused and you can't get the consistent attention to one idea and hold that attention long enough to keep yourself growing that idea and expanding upon that idea. So it can really leave you feeling very scattered and very unproductive. So the challenge here in the Chiron is learning how to trust that the universe or the world or your external reality, and really when you think about human design, one of the beautiful parts about human design to me is that for all types, including manifestors, you really don't have to figure life out. You don't have to sit with those ideas and go, okay, I have this idea. What am I going to do? 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 You don't have to do that. What you do have to do is stay engaged in the imaginative, creative process of enjoying the idea in your head, not doing it, but thinking about it. And then wait and see what shows up, because the ideas that are yours to create are the ideas that will show up in your outer reality. We are all designed to take our cues from the outer reality in some way, shape, or form. So for the manifestors, maybe not always so much about the outer reality, but there's certainly an inner sense of waiting and needing to wait for the sense of right timing. There's an inner click for the manifestor that's about, okay, the timing is right, now I can go create. For the generators and the manifesting generators, the right timing is dictated by the outer reality, and it shows up by virtue of giving you something to respond to. For the projectors, right timing is either going to be, if you're a splenic projector, about that inner sense of, okay, now's the time to do this, that intuitive sense of, it's the time to do this, or also getting an invitation or recognition. And for the reflectors, of course, right timing comes from waiting out at least one full cycle of the moon and sometimes more. So if you have this gate 11, part of what your challenge is learning how to wait. Learning how to wait to see which of these ideas is going to be the idea that pops. 1951, we have, again, the gate 11. Then we have the gate 10. The gate 10 is the gate of self-love, self-empowerment. In its low expression, it can be blaming and feeling victimized and being stuck in a story of being a victim. So it can be self-empowerment or disempowerment, blaming or accountability. So the challenge here is to learn to love yourself enough to accept yourself, warts and all, mistakes and all, to own perhaps your mistakes, to take accountability for those mistakes, and to recognize that no one can do anything to you. I mean, they can in the short run, but if you hold on to it and you don't let it go and you stay stuck in the victimhood and you don't ultimately transcend that victim story and move into something different, then you'll continue to replay that victim story over and over again. So the theme for Chiron the 10 is about learning to become self-empowered and letting go of victim stories. The gate 58, another one of my favorite gates, is called the joy of life. People who have the gate 58 in any part of their charts, but certainly Chiron in the 58 is all about joy, the joy of life. And it's the joy of life that comes from repetition and consistent repetition and correcting and repetition and correcting. If you think about a musician engages in the process of practice and growth and expansion in their mastery of their instrument because the music gives them joy. The joy drives them to continue to make it better and better and better. When you have Chiron in the joy position, you have a tendency to either lose your joy of life or to let go of your joy of life or give up sometimes the things that bring you joy and consequently get stuck in joylessness, meaning you become crispy and bitter. And your job in life, your part of your Chiron challenge is to learn how to tap into your joy and to never compromise on your joy so that you can be the full expression of joy and ultimately teach the world how to access and create its own joy. In 1952, we continue with the theme of joy in Chiron, and we move to, sort of back and forth over 1952, the gate 38, fighting for what's right. Now, it's an interesting energy here. Both of these are energies in the root center, by the way. So the gate 38 is all about knowing what's worth fighting for. But in its low expression, it can be, giving up. Oh, what's the point? Let's just surrender and give up. There's no point in fighting for anything because we're going to lose anyway. Or it can be stubborn. I'm going to fight so hard for this. I don't care if it's right or wrong. I'm not letting go until it's done. Obviously, there's a balance between these two energies of knowing what's worth fighting for and what's worth enduring to bring about the full expression of the value of life. There's visionary energy here. This to me is the energy of where someone like Martin Luther, the archetype of Martin Luther King lives, right? It's that I have a vision, I have a dream for what's possible. It's so vital and so precious that I will dedicate my life to fighting for this dream. There's that aspect of this energy in the 38. And so when you have this in the Chiron position, you're always finding that balance or discovering the balance between giving up and being stubborn and learning ultimately the value of what it is worth fighting for and then ultimately committing to it and bringing it forth into form. In 1953, we keep on with the 38 and we bring in the gate 54, ambition. But the gate 54 to me is also a gate, a dreaming gate. It's a gate of being a visionary. It's a gate actually where we have enlightenment and the potential for enlightenment. So the gate 54 can be enlightenment. It's about taking a divine spark or a divine idea and cultivating it, building it, and also waiting for the right timing for that idea to then be ready to be birthed into the world. So there's ambition here. It's a big idea. People who have the gate 54 never have little ideas. So in that respect, it's similar to the gate 11 that we talked about. So it's big ideas, and oftentimes it's big business ideas, big inspiration, big ambitions. And it's, again, one of these energies that if you're not waiting for the right timing, if you have a big idea and you're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing with it, you might find that you never get the manifestation of that idea because you're not waiting for the right timing and you burn out before you get to the place where the timing is right. So the balance here with the 54 and the mastery here is learning how to serve as a steward for divine inspiration, to hold the idea, to embrace the idea, to nurture the idea, to build the foundation for the idea, and to trust and stay in that enlightened awareness that the timing for this idea will happen, and that while that timing is being lined up, while the synchrony and the harmony and all the magic that happens to make the timing correct is being set up by the universe, your job is to hold on to the idea and nurture it and love it and grow it and hold the vision for it until the timing is correct. The gate 61 is a very magical gate. This is a gate that's up in the head center. This is a gate that is all about knowing the unknowable. The question associated with this gate is the question why, right? There really is never an answer to the question why. It's kind of the unanswerable question. Why? This is a very powerful, very important energy. This is the gate of wonder. Our ability to stay in a state of wonder and awe is one of our most creative capacities. In fact, what we see is that when we can stay in a state of innocence and wonder and awe about the world and use our imagination to cultivate visions that are mind-blowingly awesome, that those visions are part of what stretches the creative edge of possibility for humanity. When we stay in a state of wonder and awe, we become more creative. And so the challenge for this Chiron position is to hold on to a state of wonder and awe, to allow the power of your imagination to be a huge aspect of your creative self, and not to beat yourself up because you can imagine things and you don't know how to make them happen. You don't have to figure out how to make any of these things happen. The power of what you're here to give the world is the power of learning how to stay in a state of wonder and awe, rather than being defeated or disenchanted or even going crazy trying to figure out why. The Gate 61 continues in 1954, and then we move to the Gate 60, or we add in the theme of 1954 the Gate 60. I love the Gate 60. Actually, I love all the hexagrams because you didn't know that, but I really love the Gate 60 too. The Gate 60 is about taking what you have in your life, even if you perceive it or feel that it's limited. Taking what you have in your life, what works, what's available to you, and innovating with it, being resourceful with what you have. So the challenge with Chiron in the 60 position is learning to A, appreciate and be grateful for what you have, and B, learning to use what you have available to you in an innovative and resourceful way. Of course, it can get defeated or feel defeated, or you can feel exhausted or even undisciplined or wasteful or even ungrateful if you have this energy. So the lesson here is learning to appreciate and love what you have and build from what's available to you, and not get frustrated because you think you don't have X, Y, and Z. In 1955, we have the Gate 60 and also the Gate 41. The human design year actually starts in January on the Gate 41, which is the gate of imagination. This is the place where we look at what's around us in life, a very, very creative energy, just like the 60, right? We look at what's around us in life and we see what's available to us and we say, what else is possible? How can I expand on these experiences, these ideas, these concepts? How can I grow what has come before? What fantasies, what alchemical visions can I hold for what else is possible? So the 41 can be very dreamy. It is literally, I call it the daydreaming gates. When you see this energy in kids, these are the kids that are always looking out the window at school, right? There's daydreaming here. And of course, societally, and culturally, we tend to kind of mix daydreaming, right? Oh, that's a dreamy person. That's, don't be a dreamer. You got to be realistic. 41 is not about being realistic. It's about being on the leading edge of creating by holding a vision for what else is possible. So again, the trick for the 41 is to hold a dream, hold a vision, right? And to also wait, because there's waiting in all these energies, wait until the timing is right, till the emotional frequency, the vibrational frequency of possibility is aligned. So that means holding that vision until the timing is right. We see a theme here, all these themes down here in that last few years, right? waiting, holding a vision, being immensely creative and expressing that creativity, and also waiting for right timing to bring that creativity, that creative thought, that vision into form. By the way, the 41 is often a marker in a chart for somebody who is a writer, particularly if you also have the gate 1. So those of you who have the gate 41, write, create. You need to move that creative energy in the form, but don't get married to the form. Be creative for the sake of being creative, and then see what shows up in response to that creative initiation. 1956 has the gate 41 again, continuation, and then we bring in the 19. The gate 19, first of all, is an energy that connects us with the animal kingdom, particularly mammals. So those of you who have this energy, you may find that you're deeply connected to animals and nature, and you're highly intuitive when it comes to animals. But this is also the energy for intimacy, and it is an incredibly sensitive energy. People who have this energy or play with this energy anywhere in their chart are always extra sensitive. And the sensitivity is often around sensing or knowing when the emotional environment changes, and knowing based on the nature of how the emotional environment changes, what they need to do to continue to create intimacy. In its low expression, though, this can be an energy that's either needy or so hypersensitive that sometimes people with this energy, particularly in a Chiron position, can shut themselves down, or they shut down their own needs and wants because they're so attuned to the energy of others that they give up what they want and need because they don't want to deal with the emotional blowback of asking for what you need and want. So if you have the 19, one of your greatest challenges is learning to get your needs met, learning to ask for what you want and need, no matter what anybody else's emotional response is to it, and being mindful of not shutting down your own energy or what you want and need because you're too sensitive, or you become numb because you can't deal with the overstimulation of all the energy around you, and in particular, all the emotional needs around you. In 1957, we see the 19 continues into 1957, and we bring in the gate 13. The gate 13 is a really weird energy. If you have this anywhere in your chart, and it comes off the top right-hand side of the G center, you are a listener. And what that basically means is that people, even people you don't know, even people at the grocery store you don't know, people will tell you everything. So you are constantly being exposed to people's deepest, darkest secrets. People you don't even know are telling you your secrets. You keep everybody's secrets. You may even also keep your own. The gate 13 has two main tasks. Number one, it's the keeper of the secrets, or it's the listener. It holds the secrets. And number two, from the stories that it hears, it crafts new stories of possibility. What happens oftentimes for the gate 13 in the Chiron position is your job or your challenge becomes learning how to choose for yourself the stories that you want to define your identity, and to make sure that you are constantly crafting stories about who you are and your life, so that the stories you are living are taking your life in the direction in which you're choosing. That means oftentimes you might have to have extra doses of challenges around things like forgiveness. You may need to learn how to let go of the past in order for you to craft your own story and to create for yourself stories that take your life and your direction in life and your contribution to life in the way in which you choose, not in the way in which you allow others to choose for you. 58, we see, of course, the continuation of the gate 13, and we bring in, dun, 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 the gate 49, the gate of revolution. So the gate of revolution is most importantly, oftentimes, usually a relationship energy. It connects actually to the 19. So it's the channel of love and marriage. It's intimacy, really, it's the power, the capacity for emotional intimacy. In a relationship or in life, if you have the gate 49, you're the one that's holding the values in the relationship. You have rules. And in your relationship, those rules that you hold have to be followed. And if you don't follow those rules, or if the rules in the relationship are broken, the 49 is the one that says, okay, that's it, I'm done. They'll create a revolution in the relationship. And that means, they're done. And if you have a gate 49, and you're done in a relationship, when you're done, you're usually done. Like there's nothing anybody's going to do to bring you back into the game because you're done, 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 right? Now, from a Chiron position, the gate 49 has two challenges. Oftentimes, what we see is that people with the 49 in the low expression fail to create a revolution. So they stay in relationships longer than they should. When they should have left, when they should have started a revolution, they fail to start a revolution and they stay in the relationship and they rationalize it. The second thing that happens is sometimes people with the 49 are constantly creating revolution in their relationships so fast that they don't stay in it long enough to actually make sure that the potential for intimacy is being created. So oftentimes in the Chiron position, I'll see people who are either not doing a revolution, they're not creating revolution, or they're creating so much revolution that they're leaving, and never actually allowing for true intimacy in their lives. In 1959, we see a continuation with the gate 49, and then we see the gate 30, intensity. The gate 30 is the fire, the clinging fire that burns underneath a vision or a possibility or a dream. And it's that creative fire that holds that dream on simmer, right? And it keeps that dream simmering and alive until the timing is right for that dream to be brought forth into form. So it's the fire that keeps the passion going, keeps the vision going. Now, people who carry this energy always have the theme of intensity in their lives. In fact, if I see the gate 30 in any position in your chart, that I always know that no one has ever said to you, oh my God, you're so mellow. You are not mellow if you have this energy in your chart. You are intense. Now, it is literally called in the traditional Qing, the clinging fire. Okay. There is a theme with this 30 of burnout. And oftentimes when we see Chiron in the 30 position, there is a lifelong struggle with the theme of burnout. And that burnout often comes from not holding the fire long enough for the dream to become manifest, so not being patient. Or it comes from holding on to the dream with such intensity for such a protracted period of time that sometimes we miss the cues that maybe it's time to shift gears a little bit or to adapt the vision a little bit. And oftentimes what happens is the intensity of who you are with the gate 30 not only maybe burns yourself out, but you can also burn other people out by being overly serious, overly intense, and not recognizing sometimes when you need to maybe go from, conflagration on the dial back down to low burn, low simmer. So learning how to modulate and manage your intensity and recognizing that, when you have this 30 in your chart, when your soul decided, hey, I'm going to go incarnate, you maybe brought a little extra with you more than everybody else. And so you maybe have a lifetime story of people telling you, tone it down, simmer it down, bring it down. And that sometimes that feels repressive. And sometimes it might also be for your own good so that you remember, I should also take care of myself while I'm holding this fire for what's possible for humanity at the same time. 1960, we continue with intensity and we bring in the 55, abundance. Okay? Abundance. This is, first of all, from an evolutionary perspective, this is to what I consider to be the most important gate in the chart right now. This is a gate that we are all experiencing and learning about and have been learning about for a while. The theme of the 55 is the recognition that it is our own maintenance of our own vibrational frequency that allows us to calibrate ourselves and attract into our lives things that match our frequency. It is the understanding that we are abundant by nature because we exist, and it is the faith that we have in our abundance or God or source or whatever you want to call it, that is what creates in the world. It's not our effort. It's not our work. It's not our brilliance. It's not our education. It's not who we know. It's not money. It's our alignment, our vibrational, emotional alignment, and our faith and connection to our understanding that the quantum field is an unlimited source of potential, and that when we hold our vibration in particular alignment with what we want, we create it. So there's a challenge in this 55 of having faith, and faith becomes the big challenge for this Chiron position. Do I have the faith to stretch myself beyond what I think is possible? Do I have the faith to trust that I know I'm supported? Do I trust in God? Do I have the abundance and consciousness to believe that everything and anything is possible? Can I be in the flow of abundance, or do I hoard, hold back, stockpile, hold on to more than what I need or more than what I want? Am I overwhelmed by an overabundance? Do I overcompensate for what I feel like is lack? These are all challenges with the 55 in the Chiron position. And of course, the mastery is faith. And it's when we become filled with faith and the trust that you will be divinely supported no matter what you choose to do, as long as you keep your emotional alignment correct and your energetic alignment correct. When we have that faith, then we are able to create beyond the bounds of what we think is possible. Now, in 61, we see a retrograde. We go back to the 30 and then back to the 51, finishing up the year with the 37th gate, harmony. Now, harmony is actually one of the energies for, first of all, creating sustainable resources. So you see, we have this fire energy that's all about holding the vision, the 55 that's all about holding the frequency, and then the 37 that starts to move us more towards doing the work of the world. It's emotional energy pointing towards the will center. The 37 says, when I am aligned with peace and trust and faith, when I am in a place of inner peace and connection to source, then the actions that I take, the connections that I make, the community that I create is sustainable. And not only sustainable, but peaceful. So there's a theme with this 37 of inner peace. And ultimately from inner peace, creating peacefully. So the challenge in this Chiron position is inner peace, cultivating inner peace. And so when you have 37 in the Chiron position, there's a lot of potential here for inner restlessness, for lack of inner peace, for being out of harmony on the interior of yourself. And oftentimes I find that people with the 37 really benefit, if your Chiron is in this 37 position, really benefit from investigating and exploring ways to calm your inner self, whether it's meditation or walking or singing or whatever works for you, but getting aligned and connected and peaceful from the inside and finding balance and harmony helps you maintain homeostasis and synchrony and synchronicity in your life and allows you to create sustainably without burning out or freaking out or creating war, which is the opposite of peace. In 1962, we have the 55, again, a retrograde and a continuation with the 37. In 1963, we have the 37 again, and we bring in also the gate 63. Now, the gate 63 is the initiating gate in what's called the logical circuit in human design. The logic circuit in human design duplicates gate by gate the steps in the scientific methodology or the scientific process. The gate 63 is the very beginning of the scientific inquiry, and it says, do I believe this is true? Can this be true? Can I prove that this is true? So the purpose of the 63 is to engage in creative questionings. You know, what are the possibilities? What would happen if? What could we do with this? What, you know, it's questioning, and it's questioning that ultimately can be very, very creative. You know, if I do this, is this true? If I do this, will it produce consistent results? If I do this, will I change the world? So there's questioning here. There's also self-doubt here. Do I have what it takes? Am I capable of doing this? Am I going to be able to make this happen? So the low expression of Chiron in the 63 is always going to be self-doubt. Doubting yourself, doubting your own capacity, doubting your own thoughts, doubting your own abilities. And so, of course, the challenge becomes to overcome self-doubt and then to question what is real and what is not, not from a doubtful and a suspicious place, but from a place of discovering what's valid so that ultimately you can take what you know is true, what does work, what is correct, and share it with the world. 1964, we continue with the theme of self-doubt in the 63, and then we add the gate 62, I'm sorry, the gate 22, the gate of grace. I love this hexagram so much, I have it tattooed on my arm. Okay. The 22nd is grace, and it is, again, a very abundance oriented energy. Grace says, when I surrender, when I let go, when I wait with a state of grace, in the state of grace, then I receive all of the resources I need in order for me to be able to do what I need to do to make the world a better place. This is the power of grace. It's that surrendering and trusting that when you let go and you stay in that state of grace, that you will be supported in doing whatever you came here to do, fulfilling your purpose, contributing to the world in the way that's right for you. But obviously, the low end of it in the Chiron position is struggling with staying in that state of grace, struggling with surrender, struggling with letting go, struggling with trusting. And what happens is when we drop into that struggle, we then become artificial in the way in which we try to procure resources or try to express our contribution to the world. So we become rigid or controlling, or we again hoard resources, or we become disgraceful. Like you may realize, oh, I think I don't have what I need, so I'm going to steal it or I'm going to take it. So there is a potential here for a little bit of moral ooh in here if you're not careful. But again, the challenge here, and this is, there are a lot of gates in the design chart that have this theme in various ways. But the challenge here is learning to let go and let God, or to trust and let go and know that when you surrender and stay in a state of grace, that when the timing is right, you'll get everything you need to do what you came here to do. And of course, 1965 continues with both the energy of self-doubt and the energy of grace. Sometimes, to just throw this last little bit out, sometimes grace is also about inner beauty. And so sometimes if you have Chiron in the 22 position, the inner grace or grace, it's about inner beauty and owning your own beauty as part of grace. Recognizing that you're such a beautiful being. You all are such beautiful beings, unique, once in a lifetime cosmic events. And that when you stand in that beauty and awe and that place of grace with yourself, then you are much more able to make the contribution that you are designed or you were created to make in this lifetime. Hope that gave you a little bit more insight about your chart and about who you are and what your challenge is. Again, I'll do this again next week. I'll do 1965 to 1980. Appreciate you all for joining me. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great week. Bye. Thanks.